So when most people think about real estate investing, they usually imagine one or two things: a HGTV flipper or a landlord fixing a toilet at 2 a.m. Neither of those things is what I do or did. Today, I'm going to break down a real estate investing strategy that helped me build a $2 million portfolio while I was still working a full-time job. We're going to talk about what it is, how it works, and exactly how it makes money. Okay? Even if you've never invested a day in your life. You ready to dive in? All right, so what is the buy and hold strategy? It's exactly what it sounds like. You buy a property, hold it, you rent it out, and then over time, it builds wealth for you in multiple ways. That's the strategy. So let's talk about the 4 ways that buy and hold real estate investing builds wealth for you. These are often called the 4 pillars of real estate. So let's start with pillar number 1, cash flow. This is probably one that you've heard about. So cash flow is all the money left over after you pay all of your expenses, right? So your tenant pays the rent. Out of that rent, you pay all of the expenses like the mortgage, the insurance, the property management, repairs, etc., right? And then after that money that's left, that's your cash flow. So if a tenant pays $1,500 and your expenses total $1,200, then you're making $300 a month. That's $3,600 a year. Now multiply that by multiple properties, and then maybe here we're talking about having a second income that could potentially replace your primary income, like us. Right now, the rental income is our primary and only income, right? So that is the power of cash flow, and that's usually the one that people strive to build first so that they can semi-retire and then start working on other stuff. Pillar number 2 is appreciation. And honestly, that's where the money really is at, okay? Sometimes people are like, oh, $300 a month, not worth my time. But appreciation can be significant. Sometimes within a year, 2 years, you see significant appreciation. I know we have. So historically, real estate grows over time, right? So if you buy a property today for $150,000, that property might be worth $250,000 within 5 to 10 years. Depending if you bought a really specific area, you get lucky, you could be seeing that appreciation much sooner. There's also a way of forcing appreciation, and this is where you buy a property that needs work for a below market value price, fix it up, and then you increase that value exponentially by more than it would have been worth had you bought it already stuck. So that is the power of appreciation, in my opinion. That's how we've built wealth, by forcing appreciation. We bought properties that needed a lot of work. Nobody wanted to touch them. So then we came in, we fixed them up, we increased the value for more than we put in, and then forced that equity in. So that for me is where the money is at, because you can build a lot faster. And then eventually, if you do decide that you don't want to hold these properties, you sell them, and you can then continue playing the game, buying other different properties that might be a better fit at that point in time. So that is appreciation for you guys. And it should not be something that you come in, especially if you're starting, shouldn't be your main thing, because a lot of times people do get into real estate speculating that, oh, the value is going to go up, and they get into a bad deal thinking, okay, appreciation is the game. I feel like you want to make sure that a property cash flows as well as appreciates. So don't go into a property that doesn't cash flow because you think it's going to appreciate later down the road. That's my personal opinion. Of course, people may differ. Now let's talk about pillar number 3, leverage. This is my favorite because I would have not been able to get to where I am today without this pillar. Use other people's money to buy it, and then use other people's money to pay it. Because here's the thing. Every month that your tenant's paying your rent, they're also paying down your mortgage. So every single month, you own a little bit more of that property, right? Because there's that principal pay down. So you buy with other people's money, and you have other people pay for it. That is what makes real estate so powerful. Now, let's assume you have a property and you rent it for 30 years and you have a 30-year mortgage. Essentially, that tenant can pay for your full mortgage. Now, most investors don't hold real estate that long these days, but that's just kind of the gist of it. Now, this will be a complete different video. You can buy real estate with as little as 3.5%. So you could buy a $200,000 property for $7,000. We're going to talk about that later in a later video. So stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe. But you can't really do that with stocks, right? It doesn't make sense. The numbers don't work the way that they work with real estate. So this is why this third pillar is very important. Now, pillar number 4. This is one that a lot of people talk about. So let's explain it. Taxes. Everybody talks about it, and it is true. Real estate investors get one of the most favorable tax benefits out there. And this is how it works, okay? You're able to write off your mortgage, your property taxes, your insurance, anything that you spend money on. That's right. And that's very similar to what you do with other businesses. Now, the thing is, with real estate, you get something called depreciation. So generally speaking, the IRS is considering that your property is wearing down over time. So instead of increasing value, which is generally what happens, the IRS is saying the opposite. Your property is going to be devaluing over time. So we're going to let you write off a portion of that cost every year. So you're taking this expense despite you making money, despite the property going up, and you're writing it off. So what happens is a lot of times this ends up either making you look like you make no money or you had losses, decreasing your income. And this is where people come in and say, I'm buying real estate so that I can not pay taxes on my income. Now, I can talk about this for a whole video, so we're going to keep that deep dive on taxes for a later video. So make sure you subscribe. But to bring it all together, buy and hold real estate has 4 wealth building pillars: cash flow, appreciation, leverage, which is using other people's money to buy and pay for your property, and tax benefits. Those 4 things together is what makes real estate so powerful, because they're working at the same time, okay? Here's what matters most for you right now. If you're still working a full-time job, do not quit to go buy real estate. Use that job to fund your real estate so that you build a portfolio over time, and then you get to a point where you can become work option. And then you can quit your job once you build a solid enough portfolio. So I hope that was helpful. And if you are looking for more information about buy and hold strategy, all the different things, I do have a guide that I made with all the different steps talking about the same thing. And stay tuned for more videos, because I am going to be talking more about this and how I did it while I was working a full-time job. So make sure you leave me a comment. I want to know, where are you in your journey and how can I help? All right. Talk to you guys later.